Hello everyone and welcome to another Starcraft 2 tutorial. For this one I'm going to be going over my TvT build and possibly my pocket expansion variants where you go straight to 3 base. So we'll do this on backwater. We'll start with the first one and see how long the video is running. Sometimes I babble. So this is the build I use versus Terran to go into Mass Raven. It involves hiding behind a planetary as you work to an early Raven count and then using that early Raven count to stuff his push on your base, and then you can go ahead and take more bases. So yeah, let's just hop right into it.
Not enough minerals.
So starting worker production, first SCV to the ramp. There will be no worker scout involved with this build. I'm just going to play it by ear. React to various cheese if it comes.
Not enough
so building the depot right away.
Not enough
and after this this depot, we're going to build a barracks. And often what you want to do is queue up this next SCV to build the barracks. Because you probably want the barracks here unless there's a very good place to put the barracks. And on many maps, it takes 1 or 2 structures to prevent Reapers from jumping into your main base. And this is one of those maps. So for that reason,
additional supply depots required.
So then you got the SCV, boom. Building the barracks. Alright, so when your workers read 15 to 16 here, or 17 to 23 up there, whichever you go by, you're going to send the next one down to the natural. Keep that constant work production going. This SCV at the barracks is going to go to our ramp.
Not enough minerals.
Going down expansion. And then the last SCV you can build here is going to come down here and build the bunker. So then orbital and marine minerals. As soon as the barracks is done.
Not enough minerals.
And then we build the bunker. And the depot. This bunker is to block cyclone attacks and Reaper attacks.
Center upgrade complete.
Key this barracks and queue it to that bunker. Once those depot and barracks and depot and bunker are down, we're going to go double gas and engineering bay. Never stopping worker production, very important. With basically everything in FC2 is very important. Engineering bay. Bring up to 4 Marines. When this command center is done, we are going to build a 3rd gas geyser. Let's populate these gas. And our first 100 gas is going to be spent on a factory. There's the factory. Populate this gas. Once that bunker's full, you're going to put 1 SCV against it, hold position, and auto repair. We're going to transfer some workers to our natural, and we're going to hotkey them to 2 and turn on auto repair. Now the reason for that is cyclone cheese is pretty common, or even just a little bit of cyclone pressure, which can kill us anyways, because we only have 4 Marines. So you want to be able to repair this bunker. So if the cheese arrives, it's going to arrive after your bunker is full. So you can wait till it's full before you move the SCV over. So we have 1 SCV there repairing. And that is so you get immediate repair as soon as the cyclones arrive. And that buys time for you to pull the rest of your workers over to repair. And that's why we did that worker transfer and hotkey the worker transfer. It's now on, like for me, for 2, or you can put on every hotkey you want. You immediately just press 2 and then right click the bunker and they'll all move over there and start repairing. Hopefully that will be enough to keep the bunker alive if you're fast enough. It depends how far the bunker is away from your mineral line on different maps, but That's the idea behind it. With our next 100 gas, I'm a little bit late here, we're going to start high-sec auto tracking. And then with our next 150 gas, we're going to build the planetary. Just now. We built one too many Marines. It's alright. At this point, we can start building some missile turrets. We can build our starports. We're not going to swap the starport onto a tech lab, so that's alright. Don't think about that. It's all about missile turrets now. We're staying on 3 gas.
Enough minerals.
The idea is you want to block drops, banshees, liberators,
Upgrade complete.
things like that. Once that planetary is done, oops,
Research
totally not what I wanted to do.
Add-on.
You can get rid of this
complete.
bunker. Should probably already have a bunker at the top of the ramp waiting for it. And if the Reaper's already dead, or you never saw it, you can move that over. Building a tech lab on the starport as soon as it's done. And then a second starport ready to swap, and then a third starport on the existing tech lab.
Add-on complete.
Also a good time to take our 4th gas as we're finishing the turret ring. Starting a high sec, or starting core reactor.
Add-on complete. Additional supply depots required.
Yeah, so I always get supply capped when I'm ready to make ravens. So as you're finishing your starports, you're probably gonna get supply caps. Keep that in mind. It's time to add supply then. And then when Corvid Reactor is 2/3 done, you're gonna start making ravens. That way they all pop with 25 extra energy. And as soon as you have 400 minerals, you can throw down the command center. Also around this time, if you can, sneak out another SCV. We're going to set up a ninja base, or at least attempt to. It's not mandatory, so if it gets caught, not a big deal, or if the SCV dies when you send it out. But this is... Around this time, you can probably sneak out, because it's usually around around the time before a major attack arrives. We're not getting structure armor or armory yet. High-sec auto tracking, Corvid Reactor is what's important. And after that, what's really important is just getting a bunch of ravens. Once you've started like your second round of raven production, then you can probably get the structure armor and the armory. So we can go ahead and do that.
Insufficient Vespene gas.
Oftentimes, if there's a push at the front, you can sneak up your 3rd when you're building on the high ground, and that's why I like to transfer workers with it. Because if you don't walk workers through the front, you probably won't even see this. Now, on a map like this, you probably want to delay taking this gas because you might see that gas, right? So you just set up these two. Like so. And only take this gas after the planetary is about done.
Insufficient Vespene gas.
Meanwhile, this is building that. Adding more command centers as you can afford. I have more minerals here because I'm not repairing. Oftentimes I'm doing a lot of repair. So this is a time where maybe you come and you get rid of the little siege push.
Command center
You can transfer to your next base.
Insufficient Vespene gas.
And then you want to add the armory. And this is for this is for armor upgrades only.
Not enough.
We don't really have a mineral sink with this build besides more planetaries and more missile turrets. So we don't really need like Hellbat's attack, for instance. Upgrade.
Insufficient Vespene gas.
So your 3rd finishes, maybe you want to
Upgrade
take another
complete.
starport.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
You can also kind of start getting rid of your Marines at this point.
Add-on complete.
If you know you can sneak out, you can try to transfer workers to your ninja base. If you have no idea whether it's a good idea or not, don't even try transferring.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
And then you can do like forward command centers, you can keep expanding. Once you feel very comfortable in the game, always throw down a fusion core. Because one thing that'll definitely end your comfort is facing Thors.
Not enough.
So you play around that by having the fusion core ready. So if you need to, your answer to Thors is battle cruisers, and the last thing you want to do is have to wait for fusion core to finish and then wait for
Not enough energy.
battle cruisers to finish.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
That is more or less that. So that is the build. We can go over that one more time. Talk about the various things you might face. So on many maps this season, hopefully it stays this way, you can completely block Reapers from getting into your main. Here, only jump up zone is here. There's another jump in zone way back here at the third. I kind of ignored that this third even existed because I was showing my 2-base opener on my 3-base opener. But if you can block Reapers from even getting in, then that makes the bunker so much stronger. Now this bunker, since you build like depot immediately into barracks and then immediately into bunker, the bunker gets up very fast. And because it does, it's even saved me from like, or it usually saves me, I should say, from like proxy 4 racks, where they just go like Marine all in and pull SCVs, because this bunker, you know, maybe he has one Marine out right now,
Complete.
but by the time he has his like 3-4 Marines, this thing's done. And unless he can chew through it faster than you realize it's happening and you can pull SCVs to repair, you're in good shape. If it's a map where Reapers can get into your main, you may want to leave a couple Reapers there. If it's a very good Reaper map and you're worried about Reaper all in because of that, you may even want to put a bunker at the jump-in zone. And when you do that, it's like when the barracks finishes, instead of going bunker, then supply depot, you go bunker, then supply depot. And then for where to put the Marines, your initial Marines, do it based on whether he scouted the bunker, right? If he scouted the bunker, because oftentimes if he's proxying a Reaper, he'll send out the SCV that built the barracks to like scout. If he sees the bunker, then put both Marines into this bunker, right? Because oftentimes he'll see you building this. Because he'll most likely, in his head, he's like, okay, he's got a bunker at the front, let me jump in the back. So put your first 2 Marines here. If he hasn't seen this, then you probably want to put your first Marine there, then your second 2 in the back bunker, and then put the rest in the front bunker. Something like that. Try to get into his head, because you only have 2 Marines when the first Reaper arrives, maybe not even 2, maybe 1.5. So you want your first Marine and for first 2 Marines to be in the correct position, because 2 Marines will kill the Reaper. 1 will at least get a lot of damage done. Anyways, after the bunker and your depot, you're going to go double gas and engineering bay. The SCV that finishes your command center will build your 3rd gas geyser. You're going to populate all these as soon as they're done. That's a good amount of gas. So you get the tech that you require to start a little bit of a gas bank, but also leave you enough minerals to get the turret ring up in time. the engineering bay is done, you want to build the factory. So we want to build the factory at 100 gas, but usually that's right when the engineering bay finishes. Gas is a little bit late this game. So that's your first 100 gas that goes into the factory. Your second 100 gas, so once this hits 100 again, you want to get that into high sec auto tracking. Because unless you think you're facing Cyclone Cheese, if you just have that feeling, then maybe you want to get the planetary first. Because when you get this planetary, you get a bunker at the top of your ramp, and both those things are very good against Cyclone Cheese. But if you get high sec auto tracking before planetary, it's fine versus almost everything. And then it also means this will complete by the time his medevac or liberator or banshee arrives. And that's key, because that extra hit or extra bit of range can often do some extra devastating damage, kill a banshee instead of shooting it away, or kill a drop instead of the drop being able to boost by. Yeah, so second 100 gas is in the engineering on the high sec auto tracking, and then the next 150 goes into the planetary. You want to stay on these 3 gas geysers, attacking towards starport as soon as the factory is done. But our minerals are getting poured into missile turrets. And you want a full ring. If there's no low ground on the edge, then just put it right up against the edge of the screen. If there is low ground, you might want to keep it back a bit, like this sort of area. Just so you can't like sit here on the low ground with this medevac and shoot you with marines, kill it with marines on the high grounds. And then around your natural, you kind of want it next to the planetary. So the planetary kind of defends the missile turrets, and the missile turrets kind of defend the planetary idea. And again, thinking liberators, banshees, and drop, you want all those things to be covered.
Research add-on complete.
One last place you may want a missile turret is along the back of your main base again, maybe an extra one like here or here, somewhere kind of further back. Because a lot of Terran players, luckily not so much anymore because it was so stupid, but they would just blindly go for a double medevac all in. Get 2 medevacs, bring them up here, boost them into your base with 2 tanks and 8 marines, and hope for the best. And they do it without even scanning. So that's why the extra missile turret is really good against that that blind double medevac drop. And if they're going to do that, it's almost always in the back of your base. It's almost never at the front. So 1 extra turret in the back. And I say put it further back here, because sometimes they boost by the front and then just start landing. So if they're going to boost by the front, you wanted them to boost into where another missile turret is. So finish the turret ring. As you're finishing the turret ring, take your next gas geyser.
Add-on complete.
And that's going to kind of be your 2-base opener. As for the starports, I find the best way to do it is you build a starport on its own, which immediately makes a tech lab, and that immediately makes a corvid reactor. And when that corvid reactor is 2/3 done, you want to immediately start 3 ravens. And I think the best way to do that
Research add-on complete.
is you build a tech lab on this factory. And then you build your second starport somewhere else, and you build a tech lab for that. Right, so the second one, this one's already done, building its own tech lab and upgrading. This one swaps on to a tech lab, and this one is being built on a tech lab. So like the one that's built last gets the most advantage, the one that's built second last gets the second most advantage. And that way, you know, these will probably finish somewhere around the time that, like, these will be on tech labs around the time that this corvid's about 2/3 done. Had I started corvid immediately, which I didn't. And that way you can start 3 ravens all at once.
Complete.
Because it's hard to afford all that production if you just try to build it all at once and grow a reactor. So you kind of had to stagger it, and you want to stagger it in a way that makes sense. Now, as these starports are finishing, unfortunately, when this core reactor is 2/3 done, you want to start your ravens, you also hit a supply cap. Because you don't have to build depots for a while. So as you're building these starports, think in the back of your mind, okay, I gotta make depots too. If you're bad at, looking at this number like I am. Also, around the time you start your ravens is the time you're be pulling up minerals so that you can start a command center in your base. And if possible, send out another SCV to ninja base somewhere on the map. Think of like if you're to split map, what's the last base you would take and take that one? Or what's the last base your opponent would take and take that one? But it's definitely not reliant on this ninja base. The ninja base is just like a bonus if you can get it up and get some gas out of it. So we're building ravens, supply depots, command centers. We're probably doing a lot of repairing at the front because he's like sieging you. And we're going to be attacking the siege tanks with auto turrets. And, if you throw down some auto turrets and you don't think it's going to be enough to kill the siege tanks, then quickly focus down the siege tanks. If you know for sure the siege tanks are going to die, then try focusing down the medevacs or Vikings first. Because the medevacs and Vikings can retreat. The tanks can't. The tanks are just going to die anyways. All depends how much support units he has. Also, the more support units he has, in your head you gotta think, okay, if he has lots of Marines there, that means he's not expanding like crazy. If you only see tech units, like if he only has like tanks and Vikings, and say like a Cyclone and 2 Hellions, like barely any mineral stuff being spent there, then you gotta say, okay, he's probably building a lot of command centers behind this. So I might be in rough shape. So you may want to be a little bit more aggressive on your own expanding. Whereas if he was building tons and tons of Marines, then okay, he's probably just on 2 base all inning and all I gotta do is really survive. So you don't have to worry about, taking a fast base here, for instance. Yep, so that is the build. Core reactor and high-sec auto tracking we get early. Once you get to your Raven count up a bit, where you feel comfortable that you can defend your natural, you can add on your armory and get structure armor. Armory is obviously for Raven upgrades, which in the current Raven is much more important. Without PDD, with the short range of auto turrets, there's lots of ways for Ravens to take damage now, so that makes the armor even more important. And then later on, once you're up to like 4 bases and your Raven Cloud feels nice and comfortable where you can handle any attack that comes pouring in, that's when you definitely want to get the battle cruiser or get the fusion core. Because Master Raven can kind of handle anything except for Thors. So you want to be able to transition to BCs quickly if you face Thors. If you do see Thors, add a couple more starports, because BCs don't spend through their gases quickly. Add another armory so you can upgrade ship weapons as well, and get Yamato cannon. And you may even want to cut your Raven production just so you can pull up some gas to build a bunch of BCs once... Actually, you already have the fusion core. Yeah, so immediately cut your Raven production, cancel all your Ravens, and build battle cruisers. So that is the build. We'll do another video talking about the 3 base variants, which you can do on Neoplanet S, Backwater LE, and any future map that has a pocket expansion. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.